All right, we're back. We are at COMP125 in the summer 2018 semester, and we are week 2, part 1 of our broadcast. I'm going to talk about assignment 1, which is up right now, up on eCentennial. It's available for you to look at. Sorry, Riaz, you were saying something. Look again. Is there one document? The question is there one document that has all the command line statements for GitHub? No, but I may be able to put one together for you. Don't worry, we're going to keep doing it.
I encountered actually not the sunny day scenarios, all sorts of rainy day and snowy day scenarios.
That's good.
No blizzard.
That's good. So people. So again, the comment is just people online. GitHub is hard. I thought you weren't going to make it, man. I was missing you already.
My bus doesn't get here until right before.
All right. So I'm already broadcasting. So the comment was for GitHub. GitHub is difficult. GitHub is not easy, and I'm just paraphrasing. And some negative things came out. Sometimes you got caught with some things you couldn't handle or didn't know what to do. And I'm sure some of you did a lot of Stack Overflow and some searching and all that kind of stuff online and how to do stuff. That's okay. That's part of the thing as being a developer. So when I talk about developers in general, right, I'll say it like this. Only a small bit of what you're going to learn is through me, guys, right? Sorry to say this. If you think that you're going to be a developer after you're in my course or some other course or even the whole program, I think you really have to reset your expectations a little bit. In order for you to be a developer, 80% of your learning comes from yourself, by doing things on your own, by being in the workforce and all that kind of stuff. There is no way that you can think of yourself as a developer after coming out of this program. And sure, you might know a lot more than you did before, but being a developer is developing, doing stuff, contributing to the community, doing a bunch of stuff, right? And unless you do those things, then it's difficult for you to label yourself that way. I mean, some people do anyway, but and this is just my opinion, okay? So I'm not telling you that your ideas in your mind are wrong. I'm just saying, in my opinion, part of what you're saying is good. It means you struggled, you tried to learn, you tried to do things that were that you didn't know how to do, and that's how we learn. Mostly, believe it or not, by making errors, by making mistakes, by not understanding everything. Because if everything was easy to understand, then we would learn nothing. Well, you're going to get more comfortable with GitHub over time. So let's continue now. So a couple things I want to talk about today. I don't have a lot of time to talk about everything, but this week is all about functions and variables and data and all that kind of stuff for JavaScript. For the people who were not here last week, there was an exercise that I did on kind of setting up GitHub. I'm not sure if you saw the videos at all or connected with Slack. Did you connect with Slack? Did you do anything? Okay, so there are, if you look up on eCentennial, there are course links, okay? So unfortunately, your responsibility is for you to catch up on stuff that we did last week. I can't reteach that stuff. But what I have done is I've produced videos for you, right? So there's 2 videos from last week. One of them is on a kind of intro and what we're doing this semester. And the other one is all about kind of setting up and doing your exercise, right? So we talked about GitHub. We talked about Slack. So please, if you're new, connect with Slack, all right? That's the best way to connect with me. If you have a question and those kind of things. If you don't connect with Slack and if you send me an email, I will respond, but it'll be a little bit slower. And we're trying to get as email-less as possible. How you doing, my friend? Thank you. I got your email. I'm live. So, yeah. So what I want to talk about today was assignment number 1. Are you going to stick around? Okay, so I'll come see you. So yeah. So if you're today we're going to be talking about assignment number 1. But for those people who didn't have a chance to do exercise number 1 from last week, there's an amnesty. Okay. I know that things are happening and people handed in late or whatever, or didn't hand it in at all. If you hand it in now, even if you get a 0 for me, right? Like you didn't hand it in or whatever, I will remark it. Okay, if you get half marks, if you got like 1 out of 2, right? Because you forgot to give me your GitHub link. Resubmit. I will remark it. Okay. I have no problem doing that. But going forward, again, as we move towards through the course, what's going to happen is I'm not going to have a chance to remark stuff, right? So it is what it is. And this is one of those times. And let me explain assignment number 1 to you. So I'm going to start with assignment number 1. That's what we're going to be talking about. And then I'm going to start reviewing the stuff we did last week a little bit and then get right into coding, okay? So here's assignment number 1. So it says client-side web development. This is up on eCentennial. And again, it's slightly different from last couple of years ago when I did it. And we're going to be talking about what one is. It's worth 15% of your final grade. That's not a small amount. It's a big amount, right? So please pay attention to this one. This is an individual assignment. You're not to do it with anybody else because it's all about you, right? That's what it's about. It's not about somebody else. This is a mini portfolio site. And this is, you're going to show me what you know how to do, okay? And what I mean by this is I want to see how you're able to listen and put things together and all that kind of stuff. Remember we talked about last week, a little bit about review, kind of the 3 pillars of web development, which are structure, presentation, and behavior. Those 3 pillars, right? You can't have behavior without structure or presentation. If you think you can do JavaScript from a web development perspective and have no structure, no content, that's not a really great idea, in fact. It's because content is king, as we know. So, yeah, you're going to produce 3 pages only for 15%. And it sounds really trivial, but it's not. And let me go through the details here. The devil is always in the details. Actually, we can also say it the other way around. The God is in the details, right? But, if you think about this, what I'm looking at is 1 page is all about you. So this is like, who am I? What do I do? What services do I offer? That kind of stuff. I want you to include a personal logo. Okay, so, and that means you have to create this. I don't want you stealing it from Microsoft or Apple or some random site online. It's got to be you, right? That means if you don't know how to do a logo, I got to show you some stuff to do, right? And why? Because, you're putting some stuff together, a little website, because this is a website. This is a web course, right? A recent image of you and a single paragraph that describes your personal mission statement. That's on page 1. So it's like a bio page. Hey, this is about me. And when I mean a single paragraph, it doesn't mean like a line. It's not a single sentence. It's a paragraph about you, a small paragraph. Don't make it a whole page of text, okay? I don't know, something like that's reasonable. Like let's say, for example, in 150 words or something like that, most. Don't make it too big, all right? A single paragraph, okay? It shouldn't be like 250 words. That's a page, all right? You don't need a page of text about you. I want you to summarize, who you are and what your personal mission statement is. Why are you doing this? Why are you a software developer? What do you want to do? What do you see yourself? That kind of stuff. Or if you're offering yourself, to clients, because this is what this mini portfolio site is supposed to be, a place where clients, your future clients can go and, or even your prospective employers can go there and as a site that you can show off your stuff. This is my work, okay? As an example. A website where you... Oh, yeah, don't worry. We'll talk about that. A recent image of you and a single paragraph. So that means please don't give me some random image from somewhere else. This is not an image of Snoopy or, some, anime, all right? Or some other character that you like, Spider-Man. It's not about that. It's about you. I want to see your image. That means you've got to take a picture of you, a good picture, all right? Not a picture of you drinking beer, all right? A real image of you, right? Unless that's the kind of person you want to show off to your employers, right? So imagine an employer is going to come to this page. If you want to make it fun, a fun image with you smiling and whatever, but it's got to be about you, and you can be creative here, all right? Okay. So that's page 1. The second page is going to be a contact page. How do I get a hold of you? Some kind of email there, and I'm looking for a contact form. So this is a review from last semester when you did, web interface design, right? What I want you guys to do is make a contact form that works, that has validation controls, all that kind of stuff that completely works. Also include a page. This is page 3. So page 1 is a bio. Page 2 is a contact page. Page 3 is a page that shows off 3 of your favorite projects, okay? It does not have to be web projects. It could be a game project you made. It could be something you did with Linux. It could be something else, some other project. It could be a project that's not even in school. Some other project that you're proud of, all right? I'll explain, right? So now this is at least, these are the 3 pages minimum that I'm looking for. This is a portfolio site for you. It's not for me, right? The assignment's for me, but the portfolio is really for you. I want you to start getting going if you don't already have this. If you already have a portfolio site, right, then it has to adhere to what I'm asking you here. It has to kind of go with what I'm doing. So the bio page or about me page, however you want to say, want to call this, you have to include a personal logo. Here are all the details, right? A recent image of you and a short paragraph that outlines your personal mission. All the text on the page should come from string variables. This is the app. This is the JavaScript piece, okay? We don't know how to do that yet, but we're going to talk about it, how to do this, all right? And you're in your app.js file. So you have an app.js file that's connected to your page. We're going to talk about how to do that again today, right? And all your text is not something you put into your page. It's going to come from string variables, right? Whew, that's a different thing. Now, this obviously is a little contrived. I'm going to be honest, right? When I look at this, it's not realistic. In real life, you wouldn't put string variables to pump out your text. But this is a good example of, hey, do I know how to connect to a tag? Can I inject data or some kind of content onto my page with JavaScript? That's what this one will do on part A, right? Part B, contact page. So short form, then ask the user for their contact information, name, contact number, short message, whatever. And when the user clicks on the submit button, so there must be a submit button in the page, obviously, the form will take the user back to the bio page. Obviously, there's no processing at this point because you don't have a back end. There's only a front end, right? So I don't expect you guys to connect to some kind of PHP server or Node server or anything like that. It's just as soon as they click submit, I want you to go back to the front page, all right? The form does not have to work for this assignment. There will be another assignment where I make your form work somewhat, okay? Okay, a projects page. So I called it a projects page. You can, lay out your projects the way you want. Again, I want to include details, not just your images, but text and images of 3 of your favorite projects. You can include more if you like. Okay, if you want to include other projects you're interested in or really proud of, whatever you're going to show an employer or a client, the stuff that you've done before, put them here. It could be any project from anywhere. It could be photography if you like photography. It could be a golf project if you like teaching golf. It could be swimming, and whatever, right? I mean, but what would be really good is if it was related to software engineering. That'd be really good. That'd be awesome, right? Because that means, you're showing your stuff, right? But if you don't have any, because, again, this is what, second semester for most of you, then, put what you have, all right? Please, if you have nothing, if you have like nothing to show, make something up, all right? Like literally, I don't care if it's fake as long as it adheres to what I'm asking you to do, right? So again, the text for each project will come from string variables of your app.js file, all right? So I don't want you to actually type your text. We're going to talk about how to do that. All right, each of your pages is going to have a shared nav bar or shared nav panel, which will allow the user to navigate from one page to the other, okay? The bar or panel may be positioned on your page as you desire. So you can put it on the right, you can put it on the top. It's up to you how you position it, but it must have a shared panel. We actually started talking about your nav bar last week, right? Because we kind of put together stuff from Bootstrap, right? And I'll talk about what you're allowed to use and what you can't use in a second, okay? Your site will be organized in the following structure. This is easy marks, guys. Easy marks for 10 points, right? Contents, scripts, assets. These are all worth 2 marks. You wouldn't believe that the submissions I've got last time that didn't have this. And that means easy mark loss too, right? If you don't have these 3 folders. 3 folders worth 6 marks out of 50. That's like 10%, right? Or just above that. You will include the Bootstrap CSS framework in each of your HTML files. You must include it. This isn't like an option. This isn't like a, should I include Bootstrap? Yeah, you need to. I just told you have to, right? You will include Font Awesome, icon font library in each of your HTML files. We haven't touched that yet, but we will, right? There are going to be some marks for internal documentation, such as the file name, your author's name, website name, file description, maybe your student number, all that stuff should be in your app.js and in your CSS file, not in your HTML. I don't care about that. But in your CSS, any custom CSS or JavaScript files you have, you must have the file name, your name, your student number, your website name, file description, what this thing is about, all that kind of stuff. All right. Inside your code, I'm looking for section headers for all your, HTML structure. All I'm looking for is a single comment that says, hey, this is my nav bar. This is my main content. This kind of stuff, right? In HTML. In CSS, again, you want to break it down into different style sections. You might have, if you have custom CSS for yourself outside of Bootstrap, some of you may, some of you may not. I want you to put at least a comment that says, hey, this is for my nav bar. Hey, this is for my something. Like, actually, give me some comments to break up those sections. Be organized is what I'm asking for, right? And of course, any JavaScript functions, there should be some kind of header or at least a comment that says, hey, this function is for this, right? Make sure you use contextual variable names. So I don't want you to use A's, B's, and C's unless, I don't know, you're teaching English, A, B's, and C's. X and Y if you're using coordinates. I's and J's, please don't use I's and J's for your for loops and that kind of thing. If you're going to use a for loop ever in my class, make it a count or an index or something. Must make sense. And then if you're going to use inline comments at all, like you're going to say, hey, this does this, it should really make sense that you're using that. Don't use inline comments to mask bad code. I don't know, it looks really like spaghetti, Tom, but this is what this does. No, I should be able to see what it does, right? And please avoid over commenting. I don't want a comment for each line of your code. That's too much, right? You're going to lose marks for that too. All right, so that is the basics for what I'm looking for. It's a very basic assignment. Like for 15%, guys, you guys are getting a free ride, right? At least I think so. GitHub, yeah, we talked about GitHub last week, and it's like I said to you, you need to do stuff like this every single time. So GitHub will be included in all your assignments from here on in. It's a requirement. It's worth 4 marks for GitHub, so version control, and there's 4 marks for some kind of hosting. I say cloud hosting, but it could be anything, including GitHub pages, which I'm going to show you today. Everything I'll show you is free. And actually, I recommend your GitHub pages instead of something else like Microsoft Azure or whatever. You can also use the school server if you really must, right? The only problem with the school server is that I cannot see it from home. From marking, I have to be here physically to look at the school server. It won't work. So that's why I recommend hosting anyway. And think about it this way. If you're going to show your website to some prospective employer, right, you want to make it so it's available anywhere. Right? You don't want to just make it so it's only the school server. They have to come to school to kind of hire you, right? That makes no sense. So we'll talk about that today. Hopefully, if I can get to it today or tomorrow, I'd like to talk about at least hosting my stuff live, because guess what? We're doing a website course. Yeah.
Would Dropbox be?
No. A real. So you're gonna actually host your file. So you're actually gonna have a website that's live that anyone in the world can get to. That's what I'm talking about. The actual website. So if Dropbox, I don't think does that, right? But GitHub Pages does, right? We'll talk about that. Okay, so that's really required. Notice that there's 4 marks for version control. That's GitHub, and 4 marks for cloud hosting. I call it cloud hosting, but it could be hosting your website live. That's what it really is, live hosting, right? And notice GitHub. If you just put your stuff online and you just throw it up on GitHub, you get 2 points, right? If you use commits to show that you're developing your website and you have more than 1 commit, you don't just like have a single commit to put up on GitHub, that's where you get the other 2 marks. Otherwise, you lose 2 marks immediately. If all you use is your GitHub for, just to put it up online and as a backup, then you lose 2 marks automatically, right? And part C is you must deploy your site on your cloud server or someplace online. That's worth 4, right? And it says using Git, but you can use it any other way you want. All right, even if you kind of, you put it up with FTP or whatever, it must be live. Please don't pay for anything, okay? I'm not asking you to spend money here, all right? There are online services that require money, right? That's not what I'm asking for you to do. Please don't spend your money, even though there's, little cost to this course, other than, the actual cost of coming to the course. I mean, some of you may buy the book, some of you may not. This is not about you spending money. This is about is an exercise for you to, put your stuff live, all right? Because I want you to practice doing real work, right? Like actually putting stuff live on some server somewhere, right? So we'll talk about some options for this one. All right, so submitting your work, zip archive of your website's project files, like the exercise we did last week. A link to your GitHub repository, like the exercise we did last week, right? And a link to your live mini portfolio site hosted somewhere. Could be the school server, but I really hope not. Because then I have to come here to mark you, which is really bad. All right? And notice I broke down the marks. So where the marks are going, 14, 14, 10, 4, 4, 4. Assignments were 15%. Late submissions, 20% deducted each day late. I will deduct marks for being late on this one. You have 2 weeks and a bit because this is due Friday, June 1st at midnight, right? So it's not due next week or this week. It's due a couple weeks out. It's not that difficult to do, right? And this is going to show me what you can do. Show me your work. Show me your Unity stuff. Show me your, the things that you're proud of, things that you worked on last semester or things that you're working on now, right? But 3 projects is what I'm looking for you to, to show me, right? And that's what you're going to be marked on. Things that I'll also be looking at from a technological perspective, right, is I'm hoping you'll make your site responsive. That's why I'm asking you to use Bootstrap, right? And we'll talk about responsive websites in a sec after this. So I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping I can see a responsive website that I can run on my phone or anywhere else. By this point, again, this is not a beginner course. This is a course that we're entering after a couple of other courses, right? I want to make sure that everything works. Everything should be working, and you should troubleshoot your work. I don't want to see any errors in the console. So when I look at the browser and I look in the console in the browser, if I see a bunch of errors, you're going to lose marks. Just letting you know. I will validate your code for a good HTML code. I'm going to use the validator, the HTML validator that's out there, right? That I'm going to use to validate your stuff, right? Things you cannot use that I will not allow. I will not allow you to use AngularJS or some front-end framework like Meteor or something like that. A scaffold. You will not be allowed to use WordPress, okay? So please don't make a WordPress site or don't go to Wix and make your own site through Wix. Like you're actually learning how to code here. I don't want you to do some random site that's like automatic, right? That you can do with a couple of clicks. I don't want you doing that. Or through GoDaddy or some other service or whatever. It's got to be your own website that you made from scratch, right? However, if you really want to, you can look at some code online. Like for example, if you need help with things like Stack Overflow for whatever reason in this one, or W3 Schools, you can certainly use those sources. Please don't copy from each other. I will know that you're copying from each other. I want your portfolio sites all to look different because you're all different people, right? Even if you're married, you look different, right? You're different people. You have different goals. There might be different things you want to put on there. I want you guys to do this on your own. Remember that this is one of the assignments that's going to be prepping you for your first midterm test, right? So if you do this with somebody else, you don't know what to do on the midterm test, that would be very bad, right? I want to warn you that the midterm test is going to be eerily similar to kind of putting together multiple pages of sites in a very short time, like 2 hours. So if you don't know how to do this, you won't do well in your midterm test. It'll be in the lab, and it'll be something that you're going to have to make. It'll be a practical, most likely a practical test that you're going to have to produce something in the lab, an in-class assignment in the lab at that particular time. That means you have to be good enough to produce it in the 2 hours that you're given. All right, so chances are no. All right, so that is because I don't believe in that. Multiple choice is good for understanding, but it's not great for show me what you can do. If you don't know how to show me what you can do, then you won't do well. So that's why it's good to practice. This is an assignment. The assignment trains you for it. I'm looking on the test. So if you don't do this assignment, or if you don't do it on your own, or if you farm it out to somebody else for whatever crazy reason, then there'll be complications later. Any questions around the assignment? Assignment number 1 due June 1st, Friday, June 1st at midnight. Again, you have about 2.5 weeks to do this. Lots of time. Sometimes that's really bad if you have 2.5 weeks. It means like you leave it to the last day. Please don't leave this to the last day. There's a lot of details here that I'm looking for, and you just won't do well if you leave it to the last day, right? Any questions? All right, so I'm recording this one. This recording here is just for the assignment number 1. So I'm going to stop the recording now and get to actual work, okay? So just like if you ever want to look at just the details for assignment number 1, you look at that recording, which will be lesson 2, part 1. Okay, so I'm just going to stop the recording now.